Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome. Raven Knight back here with another interview video. But today we're not interviewing a For Honor content creator. Just like we did with Hannah, I'm interviewing a friend of mine. And you guys probably aren't as familiar with him as Hannah because Hannah's been just so active on the channel. But this guy has been very, very helpful with the channel. In fact, he's the one who not only drew the logo and emblem for the channel, the Raven Knight, but he also designed the Raven Lord avatar that you've seen me use so often in other videos. He is a professional artist. He's done some awesome work, and you guys can check him out. But today I wanted to introduce you to my friend Jay, or as many know him, the artist Jay. Jay, how are you doing today, man?
Yeah, doing good, man.
Glad you could be here for this. So again, like I said, guys, Jay is a professional artist and he is kind enough to help me out with a lot of my projects, but he's done a lot of really cool work. And throughout the video, like I did with Hannah, I'll be displaying some of his art as we go through. So keep your eye out for that. And his Instagram link will be in the description. So now that we're done with all the introductions, we'll go ahead and get started on the questions. For those who don't know how this works, I'm going to ask Jay 10 questions. He can answer them in as little or as many minutes as he wants. And then at the very end, if he has any questions he wants to ask me, he can ask them and I will answer, and then we'll be done. So if you're ready, Jay, we'll jump into the first question.
Yeah, these are yes or no questions.
No, these will require some explanation.
All right.
No, you're good. So, like, for example, so first question, what got you into art in the first place? How did you get started as an artist?
That would be probably my older brother. He always drew, and he taught me to draw like as I was younger, and he just says after that I just picked it up and surpassed him at it. But he's still a really good artist. Yeah, my brother Matt, he's really good, but he taught me how to draw, and then man, just watching Dragon Ball Z, to be honest. it's like watching Dragon Ball Z was like that was what inspired me and my brother to draw in the first place. So yeah, we just drew Dragon Ball Z characters like all day long, like all throughout school. That's pretty much all I drew.
Excellent. So that leads into question number 2. You mentioned that you drew a lot of Dragon Ball characters and comic characters too. What kind of things do you enjoy drawing the most? Like, is it like animals, people, superheroes, anime? Like, what do you enjoy drawing when given the chance?
Man, okay, I've switched like numerous times. So it used to be all comic book characters, which I still love drawing comic book characters. But actually now, well, I guess it's still comic book characters, but now I actually like drawing like a lot of lesser known comic book characters. Like I did a whole series where I went back and did like redesigns of like 1940s characters that are public domain now, and like just like redesigning them to, like with a modern look. And I like drawing like a lot of indie comic characters now too, like specifically like one on Instagram. I like drawing there's a comic company now called Homebrewed Comics, and a lot of his characters are really cool. And then they have some, like, one's called Convictor and another is Celestial Knight. Like, I like drawing a lot of like lesser known comics now. Like I don't know, I've just drawn so many Wolverines and Spider-Man all throughout my life, so it's like I like trying to switch it up a bit.
Although I still see you draw Batman and Spawn sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the Spawn I drew a lot because they had that contest. They had like a Spawn contest that Todd McFarlane was doing. So I drew a lot of him. But Batman, that's like a go-to for me. That's just like, if I can't think of anything else to draw, I'll probably draw Batman or Spider-Man.
Okay, so question number 3. What is something you think that a lot of people misunderstand about art? Like, what's a conception you think a lot of people assume about art, but they don't realize?
That's a good one. That they don't understand about art. I don't know. I guess how long the process is sometimes. Like I've tried teaching an art class one time. Like some people got me to teach an art class, and most people just think they're like, yeah, let's show me how to do what you do. And it's like, well, man, I spent my whole life getting this good. So it's like, you're probably not going to pick it up quite that fast, but it's a long process. And I think people don't really understand that sometimes, because it's like when I was teaching, it was like, yeah, you got to start out with the basics. Like I got to show you how to draw like 3-dimensional shapes and things, and try to teach you anatomy in perspective and things before you just go into a picture and try to like, I don't know, draw a fully finished picture like I do. It's kind of, you got to know the basics. And I think when I was trying to teach an art class, it's like people really wanted to skip the basics and get straight to like, teach me how to draw like a fully finished picture. And it's like, no, you should probably get a basic understanding of anatomy and a basic understanding of like three-dimensional shapes and things like that. Because when you're drawing a person, most people just want to draw anime characters or something. And it's like, yeah, but anime characters are like, people when you draw are built up of three-dimensional shapes. Like for a shoulder, you're going to draw a circle with a cylinder attached for the bicep, with another circle for the elbow, with another cylinder for the forearm, and then the hand. Like it's all three-dimensional shapes, and getting a good grasp of that and how the three-dimensional shapes work, and like that helps tremendously with like your proportions and everything when you draw. Like that's why sometimes if you see someone try to skip those steps, that's why you always see drawings with like bad proportions where they got like one arm that's a lot bigger than the other arm, or stuff like that. Like you really need a good grasp of the basics first.
Okay, and that makes sense. I like that you said that, because that leads into my fourth question for you. When it comes to proportions and the basics, you know, a lot of people, when they see a picture that has these problems, their first thought is that it's an AI art, which leads to the question that I asked Hannah, and now I'll ask you. As an artist and a professional artist, you get paid to do it. What do you think about AI art? What are your opinions on it?
Oh, okay, that's a good one too. Okay, what are my opinions on Skynet? I mean, no, I don't. Well, I mean, I don't really care for it, to be honest. But I also, it's like when you use it in some of your stuff, I don't really have a problem with it. Just because, like you said, you know, sometimes that me and Hannah get busy or something, we can't do like every picture.
Right.
And I don't have a problem when you use it or anything. But at the same time, I guess it does not your stuff, but AI in general. The art does irritate me a bit sometimes, and I think it's not because, like, some of them do look really cool. Like, I mean, some of them are really cool looking, but it's just I get sick of seeing so many of them. Right. It's like anywhere where I post art now, whether it's like Instagram or DeviantArt or anything, it's like it's so flooded with AI pictures now. It's like it's almost hard to find a real artist, and right. It's like that gets annoying, because it's like last time I went on DeviantArt, it's like 80% of all the art on there is AI.
Feels
and it's
like
well, man, yeah, it's like, where is the real artist? Like where are they all at? Or in that, or if you are good, like I have been accused several times of being AI, and it's like, dude, I've been like, you can check my profile. I've been drawing like this like way before AI came out.
Yeah, actually, when Hannah answered that question, she said that and I want your thoughts on this too. This isn't an official question, but I'd love your response to what she said. She said AI can be a useful tool to create an idea or an image of an idea. Like if she's having trouble conceptualizing a concept or an idea, AI can be a tool to get the idea of a concept and then draw it herself with her own style and her own approach to get a concept. Would you see AI that way, or do you disagree with that?
No, I can see people using it like that. I haven't as much, I suppose. No, I have used it, AI, like as like ChatGPT as like a search engine because I think AI in general I don't have a problem with, because honestly I feel like it's probably a better search engine now than like Google is. Like you can get better information out of ChatGPT than you can Google, who has like its biases and things, and it's going to try to send you to a page that they recommend or whatever. So I feel like it's a lot less bias for information. But as far as images and stuff, it, like I said, I do get kind of annoyed with it. But at the same time, I can see where you could use it as inspiration as well. Like especially if it comes up with like a cool character design or something like that.
Right.
You can use that like kind of like how I did with you with because I remember you sent me an AI image of the story we were doing with the cyborg girl.
Yes.
Like, yeah, and that was good inspiration. Like, I think AI images can be used, like, it's actually a good tool maybe if an author has like an idea for a character and they want to send you some reference pictures. Like I'm completely fine with that. Like I've had that several times where they're like, "Oh yeah, I made this AI picture of it," and then when they still get me to draw something, they're like, "Here's just some references of it," and it's like, "Oh yeah, that's helpful actually." It's like, okay, now I know what to base this character off of, like what kind of design you want. So in that sense, yeah, I could see where it'd be helpful if it's used as like reference and stuff. But I guess it's a little weird. Like I think recently they said there was like a pretty big artist that was doing an art book and like half the art in this book was AI. so so like with that, it's probably not right. For one, you're like deceiving people.
Right.
But then but then another thing, it's like I don't know. It just sometimes it just feels a little like cheap because it's like people spend their whole lives to get good at art, and then it's like someone just clicks a button, and it's probably better than half of the ones that spend their lives doing it. So
No, I get that. I get that, and that makes total sense. Like, and I was just curious about your opinion on it, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense the way you put it. So we'll move on to the next question. Question number 5. What do you think is the most difficult part about doing a picture, about doing a piece of art?
Most difficult, maybe backgrounds. I hate drawing backgrounds. I do it. I do it because I have to. But I really enjoy drawing people and characters. And then when I have to draw backgrounds, every time I'm like, like here we go.
No, I feel that. I feel that. Although you've done good backgrounds in the past.
Yeah, I can draw them, and I do. but it's one of those things that you just have to like kind of trudge through it.
Okay, so question number. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I would say that my favorite thing though is the easiest part, and my favorite thing is probably the initial like the rough sketch. For some reason, I love the beginning of drawing, like when I just make like a rough outline of a picture. And I don't know why, but for some reason the outline can turn out looking like way cooler than your finished product, and I don't know why that is. But like when I just make like like the character won't even have a face or anything. I'll just draw like the figure, they call it figure posing anyway. Like, but you draw the figure and the pose you want and everything. But for some reason you can make those look so like dynamic and cool looking. And then when you try to like after you do that layer and you actually do the outline and the colors and everything, it's like sometimes it doesn't turn out as cool as the initial rough draft. But like so the rough draft part is actually my favorite because I can actually draw those in like super fast and loose, and it just looks really cool. So and that usually gives me my idea to go off of the whole picture anyway. So it's like that's always my favorite process.
Yeah, I remember times you would send me like images you've done like that you've barely started, like they're just sketches or rough outlines, and then when you do the finished one, I do love the finished, but there are times I'm kind of like, wow, it's the sketch is still so awesome. So
I don't know why that is, but it's like something about just I guess it's like how fast you're moving and like the type of lines you make when you do that, because you're just sketching, you're not even like caring about how it looks really. But for some reason, I guess it's just that like maybe it's just because you're at ease drawing it and it just looks so awesome. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the rough drafts just look really cool.
Yeah,
and I'm sure it's like I've heard other artists say that as well. So that's just a common thing, I think.
I guess it's just that, the process of bringing something to life, I guess that's part of it. Okay, so next question. So we are on question number 6. Besides art, what are some of your other hobbies? What other things do you like to do?
Let's see. I like video games and watching movies and things. And I don't get as much time to play games as I used to though. But yeah, I love games. But I'd say mainly movies. Me and my brother have always watched a lot of movies. I'm a big movie guy.
I gotcha. I think the only game you and I have played together was Halo.
Yeah, Halo. Now that is one game. That was one game that I spent a good portion of my teenage years playing. Like I think all the way from like 15 to like 20, my entire life consisted of Halo 3 and Reach.
There you go. A Halo boy to the core. I like that.
Yeah, that's actually where I got the name The Artist J from.
Really?
Actually, that was my name. Yeah, that my gamer tag on Halo. I never used that when drawing until I had Xbox 360.
I always just assumed you named yourself that because you were an artist and it was a play off of your name.
Yeah, well, it was because I was an artist. I always drew, but I just ended up naming my gamer tag the Artist J, and then from there it stuck because me and my brother would always do it was called team doubles on Halo 3, and it was just me and my brother versus 2 other people, and we were really good at that. And his name was the Artist M, and mine was the Artist J because my brother's name Matt. And yeah, and yeah, it just stuck. Like we kind of people knew us as the Artist J and the Artist M. And then it just stuck, and I just kept that with every drawing I did since. I just always signed it as the Artist J.
That's works, man. I like that. I like that a lot. Learn
if it wasn't for
new.
Halo, I wouldn't even have my whole brand.
Halo made you the artist you are today.
Yeah, it did.
And I know this because you also drew those epic Spartan characters for that story I worked on.
Yeah.
I still need to work on that story. I really do. I haven't had as much time to write as I would like. But still, moving on to the next question. Okay, so you have drawn a lot for the channel. So my next question is, what do you think was the most fun thing or most unique thing you have drawn for the channel?
Most fun thing or unique? I don't know. It was fun coming up with the design for your avatar, like the actual Raven Knight. That was cool. Especially the second one I did that looked kind of more like Lawbringer or something from For Honor. Like I really liked drawing that one. That one was cool. And then
that did come out really good. Yeah.
Actually, I had a really fun time doing the Ubisoft sponsored videos. They were cool.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Jay here was the one who drew all of those Ubisoft sponsored images for the channel, and like all those, there should be on the screen right now, but all of them were drawn by him. Like those were incredible.
Yeah, they were really fun to draw. I like doing those. As far as the most unique thing, I don't know. I can't think. You'd probably know that better than I would. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I think
unique thing.
I've had people say that they prefer your original drawing of the Raven Lord before the Lawbringer looking one.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, people have said that they like that because they like the combination of samurai and knight appearance.
Yeah, I did like that too. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying which one is better or worse. I'm just saying I've had people who say that. So, and of course, I love the logo you designed for the channel. Like it's just excellent.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate
it. Someday we may do a brand new logo, and I'll come to you for that for sure.
All right.
Already giving you new jobs, it's crazy, dude. Okay, so that was question number 7, I believe. Question number 8. Okay, so this is a bit more of a serious question. Beyond just being an artist, you are also a very, very devout Christian. And you and I have been accountability partners for a while, where we just come to each other when we have difficulties or struggles or just kind of talk out some of our stuff. So if you're comfortable sharing it, what is your testimony? And how did you come to Christ? And follow up to that, how does it impact your art today?
It's a good question. Man, so my testimony, it's a bit rough. Like when I was little, like ever since I've been a kid, like I've had like serious migraines like my whole life, like a whole lot. Like I've had a bunch of them throughout the year. Like I literally, even to this day, I still have probably a migraine probably once or twice a week. And it stinks because you just have to like shut all the lights off in your room because light like irritates your eyes and your head and everything. So, but I've had that my whole life, and at one point it got really, really bad to where when I was in school, I had missed probably a few months of school or something. I was getting them like every single day, and I had to go to the doctor all the time, and I I had like MRIs and stuff done on my head and things, and which is it's kind of a funny story because I had went up pretty far one time. My parents took me pretty far to get like an MRI done, and I got scanned, and I was telling them all this stuff about my headaches, and the test came back, and they never know what to do with them though. So the doctor came back, and he was like, he's like, all right, we did all these tests, and he's like, it seems that you have really bad migraines. I was like, oh, thanks. I know that. It's like, thanks. I didn't need all these tests for that. I know that. But yeah, nothing's ever worked for him. They've tried giving me like different medicines and things, but nothing's ever worked, and I still get them to this day. Not as bad as I used to, like, thank God, but but yeah, I had really bad migraines, and during school, like I was missing a lot, and I just had like, my family was always Christians and everything as well, my parents and everything, but I can't say I actually like believed on God until I was like around maybe 17, and it was just because I had like the worst year of my life that year. I was with a girl as well, and it was just a bad year because my migraines were starting to get really bad again, which I used to be in school. I played basketball. I was point guard, and I was really good. And
no, don't brag, you know.
Well, I was pretty good. Yeah, not to brag, but I was pretty good. but my migraines had caused me to basically I had to stop playing basketball, and then my girlfriend at the time ended up leaving, and I couldn't be with her anymore. And then my basketball coach, who was like a second father to me, he died of cancer. And then my grandmother died of cancer. or not, no, she just died. And then my grandfather died of cancer.
Oh, God.
And it was like all in one year. And it was like all this stuff was happening like right back to back. And I was just like, man, like I'm in a bad spot. But my grandmother, before she died, gave me my Bible that I have. I still read it. And she gave me this Bible, and I was just like, you know what? My parents believe this stuff. Like, it's like, I believe on God, but I don't really like know anything about God. And I was just like, I'm going through this horrible thing. And I was like, I'm going to read the Bible myself and see if this is true. And I did. I read through the whole Bible that year, and then it was by the end of it, it was like, okay, it was no longer my parents' faith or anything. It was like, I believe this, and I am a Christian now. And then since then, like it's been way different. Like God uses suffering to produce character. That's in Romans 5 anyway. And he did, like, and God worked everything out since then. Like, I still get migraines. They're nowhere near as bad as they used to be, though. And I can also look back. It says that God works all things for good. And I can also look back at that time and see how God worked all that for good. Like, pretty much everything. Like, even my, I didn't mention this, but my uncle also died of cancer that year. I forgot to mention him. But I was really close to my uncle as well. And I can look back even on that. And it's like he wasn't a Christian at the time. Like, but when he got cancer, he believed on Christ, and he became a Christian, which had a snowball effect in my family, because none of my family was really Christians except my parents, and I have a pretty big family. And but through the cancer, he had wrote a letter before he died saying, like, he was at peace with it. He's like, I'm at peace with dying. He's like, I have Christ now, and he's like, even though I have cancer, I have never been more at peace in my life, pretty much. And he said, I want to make sure that I see all my family again in heaven someday, which created a snowball effect through my family. So I can see where God worked my Uncle Mike's cancer for good, because not only will I get to see my Uncle Mike again, it's like it made a ripple effect through my family that, like, one by one, they all started believing in Christ and for their salvation. And it's like, it was awesome. It's like, it's a really cool thing knowing that even though that was a terrible thing, God used that terrible thing to produce something good. And that's what God does. Like, actually, you mentioned being like we were talking about being an artist and an author. You're an author, and I'm an author. But like, it's one of the cool things about God and being an author and an artist is because we get the opportunity to, through our imagination, God gave us a good imagination to show the world his attribute of his creativity, because he's a creator and he's an author, an artist. And when we do that, like, he crafts stories the same way we do. Like, we actually get that from him most likely, because one of the things that we do and is called character development, and how we do character development in a story is the same way God says in like Paul says in Romans 5, like, suffering produces character. It says it produces patience, endurance, builds your character, and gives you hope. And I always take even Batman as an example. The guy who created Batman, Bob Kane, I think his name was, he had always, when he designed that character, he had always destined that character to become Batman. That was his original design. That was his plan for that character, was to be Batman. But in order for that character to become Batman, he had to go through suffering to produce his character to become what he had always destined him to be. And in Batman's case, it was the death of his parents. But the death of his parents is what pushed the plot along for him to be the person who the author designed him to be. And that's how God works sometimes. It's like, and you can take that even from the story of Joseph. It's like Joseph was sold into slavery by his brothers, which was horrible for him at the time, but it was something that God was working for good, because eventually all his brothers, there would be a famine in the land, and they had sold him to Egypt. And eventually, though, there would be a famine in the land, and all of his brothers would come back to him. And by that time, like, God had made Joseph like right under Pharaoh in power. Like, he was a slave that in Egypt, who God built him up to be like number 2 in power, only to Pharaoh. So when all of his brothers who sold him into slavery showed up, he had saved them from the famine. He gave them all food, the very people who sold him into slavery. So, and they all said, like, even Joseph said, what you guys meant for evil, God meant for good. So it's like suffering sometimes. Like, he had to go through a lot of suffering, but in the end, Joseph, God had worked Joseph's story out for good. And I think that's the way it is in our lives sometimes. It's like, you never know. Sometimes life stinks, but also it's like God can use that to produce good. And it's like, you never know what God's doing. And that's why he's sovereign. It's like all the stuff that I went through in my life, even the headaches and stuff, it helped build my character. It's like, now I definitely produced endurance and patience and developed character within me, and gave me hope that one day I won't have these headaches and stuff and these migraines. So it's like, yeah, it builds your character. It's like, and that's one of the things that God wants to produce. And it's just like any author, like even with my characters, when I write a story, it's like I said, you always have a design in mind for who you want that character to be. And even like the Bible, it says, you know that character before they were ever born. Like, God says he knitted us in our mother's womb, and he knows us before we're even born. And that's actually hard for people to understand unless you're an author or an artist. It's like, but I know my characters before I ever put them on paper or craft their story. It's like, sometimes when I have a character in mind, I know that character before I ever draw them or design them or anything. So it's like, I get that when God says he knows them before they were born, because I know some of my characters before I ever put them on paper, before they're actually like born. So yeah, it's just like that. It's like, you never know what God's doing with stuff like that.
You know what I love about?
And I think.
Oh, go ahead, please.
So I just think, actually, I was just saying that I think being an author or an artist actually gives you a pretty good, like, I think it gives you a little push and an understanding of God's character when it comes to his authorship.
You know, what I love about that whole conversation we just had, or what you were just explaining, is, guys, I'm going to be real to the audience for just a second. I was itching to get to this question because I've said it before in a lot of talks about Jay, but he's one of the most spiritual people I know, and he's literally only 1 year younger than me. Like, it's scary just how knowledgeable and spiritual Jay is, and we can have hour-long conversations about stuff like that, and that's why he is my accountability partner. He's very insightful, so if there's anything he is better at than art or drawing, it is counseling and talking about the Bible. He's awesome at it. So I'm so excited to get to that question.
I appreciate it.
Well, these last two questions aren't going to be nearly as cool, but really, really appreciate that. So last questions. What advice would you give to people who want to get into art or drawing like you do? What advice would you tell someone?
Probably what I said earlier. It's like if you want to start, I think the best place to start is the basics. It's like it stinks to have to go through all that, like, because it does feel like it's a slow paced thing. But I think if you get a good understanding of, especially depending on what you want to draw, but if you want to draw characters, it's a really good idea to learn anatomy, because without that kind of basic knowledge of the human body and how it functions and how muscles work and things, it's going to be hard to make it look like proportional. And I think having which actually Dragon Ball Z was kind of a good starting point for that. So because they have a very simplified muscle groups on Dragon Ball Z. It's not overly complicated, but they still draw the muscles, and Dragon Ball Z is actually a pretty good starting point for learning to draw muscles. But then it's like after you kind of get that idea, you can draw pretty much anything after you get an idea of how the body works.
I remember one of the first pieces of art you drew for me was when you drew an image of Tomiki from my story, The Tale of Tomiki. He was a Saiyan, and I remember you drew him very Dragon Ball Z styled. And you told me after you said it'd been a while since I did a Dragon Ball Z-esque style picture. So
yeah. Since I've kind of developed my own style, I rarely ever draw anything in anybody else's style anymore. Like, I don't usually draw like a Dragon Ball Z style picture or anything anymore, because I always just use my art style. But yeah, it's actually it's weird when you kind of go back to a style that you used to draw in a way, because like it feels weird, because it's like, okay, I used to draw this, but now it's a whole lot harder than it used to be, because it's actually hard drawing somebody else's style once you get your own developed.
I get that. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and make a little confession right here. I had miscounted the number of questions I had. I meant to have 10. I actually only had 9, so I had to write down an emergency 10th question here. So that way you get your 10th question. I miscounted. I thought there were 10. It's actually 9. But here's one. I asked it to Hannah, so I'll ask it to you. Now, you know that Hannah has this joke with me where she draws me as a girl a lot that we call Claire. You know that joke. We talked about it. And you yourself have drawn 1 or 2 images of Claire. And like, I think you drew Pastor Claire and Cyborg Claire. That was your favorite, I think.
That one was cool. Yeah. I like that one.
So the question I'll ask is, how do you enjoy drawing Claire? Why or why not? Like, that'll be my last question for you.
Well, yeah, actually, the times I've drawn her, it was cool. Yeah, I really like the cyborg one.
That one may be my absolute favorite of all the Claires.
Yeah, I love that one, because I like how I did all I think I did if I remember right, I did like some kind of moving like parts and stuff inside her arms and things. Yeah, it was cool looking. I really like
that. Was really cool, and I love the fact that Claire, thanks to you and Hannah, has just evolved. It used to be just the female persona of me, but now she's kind of become her own character, which means we can do whatever we want with her, which is really funny.
Which other ones did I draw? I'm trying to think of which other ones I did.
You did Pastor. Pastor Claire was one. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then that was that a Claire image I did of that, like the one in the knight armor, but it was like with a you were going to use it for some kind of teaching thing.
Yeah, that was Claire too, because
I remember that one.
Because when I think Claire, she's going to have my eye and hair color, which is brown hair, green eyes. So whenever you or Hannah draw a girl with that hairstyle, with that hair and eye color, it's just like, that's probably going to be Claire. And even Hannah has said, yeah, I already have the color palette set aside for a Claire image. So so it's just funny. I just get used to that. It used to irritate me, believe it or not. It used to irritate me when Hannah would draw Claire. But now I'm not as irritated because it's weird. At first, she did it to make fun of me because there's a whole story, guys, behind why she draws me as Claire, why Claire exists. We don't need to go into that right now, but sometime I'll share it with you, I guess. And if Jay, if you want to turn that into one of your questions later, you can. But there's a whole story behind it. But at the time, she was making fun of me because of that story. After a while, though, it became less to make fun of and more of her getting creative with new ideas, designs, outfits, stuff like that. And soon it became less of I'm making fun of Raven and more I'm having fun with a character design, and seeing her have fun with that made it fun for me too. So
yeah, and those are really good too. Like she's really good at like costume designs and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, she's got a very creative mindset, and believe it or not, guys, about to see the inside world of Jay and Hannah here. But Jay, you got to understand, Hannah really looks up to you as an artist and thinks you're amazing. Whenever you do an art piece for me or for the channel, she'll sometimes get a little bit like, dang it, you should have asked me. So it's all in good fun. We all love each other. We're all part of the same D&D group anyway.
Yeah.
we got to get ready for the next campaign in a little while.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
But anyway, that's all the questions I had. So thank you again, Jay, for answering all those. They were amazing. And now if you have come up with any questions you want to ask, now is the time you can do it.
Okay, let me think. I still wasn't paying attention to what kind of. Okay, I got one.
Okay.
So like, you're a writer, so and you've done tons of stories,
Yes.
and they're all really good. They're really cool.
For sure.
Out of which of your stories, if you could turn into, say, a movie or an anime, would you want to see that as? Like, which story?
That's a great question because my brother has asked me that too. And really it depends on the medium. So I'm going to give 3 answers. One is which one would I turn into a movie, which one would I turn into a live action TV series, and which one would I turn into an anime. If I were to make an anime, it would be The Tale of Tomiki. Not just because I base the character of Tomiki on Dragon Ball Z's Saiyans, but just because I believe that the fast-paced action nature of it would make for an outstanding anime. I think that would be really, really cool. For a TV series, I would probably say, maybe Shogun of Crime. Or I think that one would fit really well as a TV series because it is just a long-running sort of crime drama, which I think
that's the one based on Nobunaga, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the one.
Yeah,
and
that
then
one was cool.
And then turn into a movie, The Revenant King, probably. Because I think that The Revenant, that one I think fits as a sort of horror thriller style movie, and I think The Revenant King would work very well for that. I would also add as an honorable mention in the anime category Monster Club, because I think that would work really well. But Monster Club got turned into a video game, so I can't be too greedy with that one. It's kind of hit its peak. But if I could make it into an anime, I would. Monster Club is very close to my heart. And then, of course, Death Diary, I kind of don't want them to do anything with that. That's my baby. I want it to stay a book or an audiobook. I don't want them to ruin that.
Actually, Nomad would probably be a pretty cool...
Nomad, dude, no joke. My parents have said that Nomad needs to turn into a graphic novel or like a comic.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That's still, like, I know... Like, that's because we made it together, and I'm probably biased towards that one, but that's still one of my favorite stories you did.
What about Troy and Frost? Do you think that could be a TV series?
Yeah, Troy and Frost. Yeah, that would be a good one too.
That'd be a great TV series.
I don't know for which thing. Maybe a series.
Yeah, I would say a series. I would say a TV series for Troy and Frost. Seeing them as an anime would be really weird, but it'd be kind of funny too.
Well, I originally. Like, James Troy was my original animation guy. Like, when I used to do animation when I was in school, like, he was that's where I created that character. He was always my my animation practice.
Yeah, I've seen.
And then and then I eventually did like stories and comics and stuff with him. But none of them are out though. I still need to bring out one with James Troy as a comic because I've been wanting to do that for a while.
Oh yeah, and add Frost to it. Add Frost to it.
Yeah, yeah,
She.
definitely.
I can't see James Troy without Frost now. It's so weird.
I don't know, me neither. I kind of ruined it for your story. Kind of ruined my character for that because not to ruin it because I actually love it. But it's like now when I look at James Troy, it's like, man, it just doesn't seem right without Frost anymore.
It's so weird. The two just complement each other. It is so funny. But yeah, but that would be my answer to that one. That's a good question though. I've been asked that before, but it's a good question.
And let me see if I have any more. I guess my other question, and actually Hannah might have actually mentioned this. I can't remember if she did or not, but like, what other series would you like to see your channel expand from? Like, I know it's mainly For Honor now, but if you could do something else that really catches on with your channel, it's like, what would you have that be? Would that be your writings, or would that be like I know you're a Warhammer fan as well.
Yeah.
It's like what how would you like to see your channel expand? Like for other content.
So actually, funny thing is, Havoc kind of asked me this in my last interview, and he was asking what I would want the future of my channel to look like. But this is a bit more of what would I want to do other than For Honor if I could. The true story is I tried doing more writing content, but the problem was the For Honor content I did on the channel was bogging down the algorithm, so no one noticed my writing stuff. And so a couple people were saying, why don't you make a separate channel dedicated to your writing? And I didn't.
Yeah, I remember you doing it.
Yeah, I thought that you even drew the logo for it, the Raven's Writing Room.
Yeah.
And I started it, and people were saying, no, we'll totally watch it, and it'll grow. But after about a year of doing it, no one came. Like, it got subscribers because people from my original channel subscribed to support me, but no one was watching the videos. Some of my videos would get like maybe 12 views maximum, which for the average YouTube channel is decent, but considering that it was something I really had a lot of passion and drive to make, it really hurt because like I could throw together a little quick meme montage of For Honor and that gets 1,000 to 2,000 views. I make a long thought out video discussing tropes in writing and that gets 11 views in 3 days, and it's like, wow. And so I spoke to my community about this and I asked, do you want me to keep this channel? And many of them said, nah, just get rid of it. And so in answer to the question, because I was building up to the answer, I would love to dedicate myself to writing like I did on that second channel. I would love it if, let's say that For Honor pulls the plug today, like For Honor's gone, and I have to redesign my channel. I wish I could make it solely about my writing and my reading and my literary stuff. I'd love to talk about the stories I've written, the books I've read, the movies I've seen, the games I've played, and talk about them all from a writing author perspective. The problem is, I know that is even more niche than For Honor, and it is very difficult to attract an audience based on that alone. So even though it's what I'd like to do, I am more than able to realize it's not feasible. Like, for example, folks in my YouTube community watching this right now, you've probably noticed, or you maybe haven't even noticed, I don't upload anything writing related anymore, unless it has to do with the lore of For Honor. I don't upload writing content anymore. Some of you may not have even noticed that because you focus more on the For Honor stuff, and that's fine. I'm not criticizing. You're going to watch what you want to watch. But I've realized that it's just not something that a lot of people in my community want to see. And so I think Wexer said it best in one of her streams the other night. She's the kind of streamer who, if she tries to stream another game, everyone points a gun at her head and says, "Go back to For Honor." You know, it can be very hard to branch out.
That kind of stinks, to be honest. That does kind of stink, though. So where do you post your writing now? Because I know you send writing to me directly, but that I read, but where do you post it now for others to see?
The stories that I feel comfortable sharing, I post on DeviantArt.
Okay.
But I have plenty of stories that are for me personally, and I don't publish all of them because I don't think they'll get an audience, or because they have to deal with personal issues, or because they are things that I just don't think are good enough to publish. But everything else, the stuff that I am confident in, or the stuff that I don't mind sharing, goes to DeviantArt. because it's where I've posted stuff in the past.
Yeah.
It's just, I know that you mostly go on Instagram now, but I still post on DeviantArt here and there.
For some reason, I don't know. I can't get into posting in DeviantArt anymore. It's like last time I used to post all my art there, but I haven't done that for a long time. And I think that's mainly because I felt like it took a lot longer to post art on there than it does Instagram. Instagram, I feel like I can just, oh, I'm done with this drawing, I can post it in like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Whereas like,
DA's complicated.
I don't know. I felt like they asked you a bunch of stuff, and it was just like, yeah, it's like this is taking way too long to post.
It's just worth it at that point. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I agree. Plus, there's the fact that literature does not get as popular on DeviantArt unless like usually people want to see art, not literature. If they see literature, it's either got to have a picture attached to it, or it's got to be pornographic, like it's got to be erotic literature.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get why people want to see that kind of stuff. I mean, it's deviant art. What did you expect? But it's like it kind of goes back to the whole Metamorphosis thing. When I wrote Metamorphosis, people expected.
I never even talked to the name before. Deviant art.
Yeah.
I never even realized those.
But it goes back to the Metamorphosis thing. When I wrote Metamorphosis, it was totally written with innocent intentions, but people came to it expecting it to be erotic or expected it to be pornographic, and that's what turned me off from the story, because people wanted it to be something I never intended it to be, and now I can't even look at the story the same way because I know how people saw it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that one. Like that one stinks. Didn't you tried starting that one kind of from scrap too, didn't you? Like a different.
Yeah, I tried a new story called The Sorceress, which approached similar ideas but tried something new. But people looked at it almost the same way, and I've even had people say, "Nah, I preferred Metamorphosis to this." And I'm like, "Of course you did, because I'm deliberately avoiding any of the stuff from Metamorphosis that y'all latched onto." But it didn't change. After a while, I just realized that I need to give up the idea. Like it's not that I don't. It's sad, really. I don't think that the idea itself is negative, but we live in a world today that takes the concept and just wants to bastardize it, and that's really difficult to deal with.
Yeah.
But
I guess I was trying to think of another question. I guess this is something I don't think I've ever asked you before, but who is your favorite author? Do you have a favorite author?
Honestly, no. I've never. I mean, I like Solzhenitsyn. He's a Russian author that I really think does very, very well. I love Kipling. He's very good. I love Mark Twain. I mean, I've liked his work. I love Shakespeare. Most of his plays I have read and enjoy. Some of them, there are a lot of authors that I can look back on and think that are just really, really incredible.
Okay, so let me rephrase it. Whose writing has been the most influential to you in your writing?
Okay. I can think of three off the top of my head. Solzhenitsyn was the first one. The second would be Marcus Cizak, who wrote The Book Thief, which inspired me in writing Death Diary, which was a huge step in the right direction for me. And then the third one would be probably Shakespeare himself, just because reading Shakespeare made me realize the beauty of dialogue. Because in a play, everything is done through dialogue. Sure, you have the actors, but when you read the script, when you read the playwright, it is almost entirely dialogue. And I realized from that just how amazing dialogue could be in setting a scene, explaining characters, so all of that. So I think what it looks like is Shakespeare taught me the beauty of dialogue, Cizak taught me the beauty of characterization, and Solzhenitsyn opened my eyes to the power of literature. So those would be my 3 points that I would point to.
Yeah, that's good. So
yeah,
what genre do you like the best?
God, that's a tough one. I like so many different genres. I like fantasy. I like sci-fi. I think I lean a little bit more towards fantasy just because of
Yeah,
the creativity
I
I
would
can
think
have.
so. Just from
Yeah.
what I've read, I think
Yeah, I lean a little bit more
typically
towards it.
fantasy. Yeah,
Sci-fi gets overwhelming for me after a while, but fantasy is very enjoyable for me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
I think
yeah,
that's pretty much it that I have.
yeah, no problem. Like you asked more questions than I expected, so that's excellent. Anyway, that's I think that's it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, Jay. Really appreciate it. Again, guys, I'll be
No
leaving
problem,
it.
dude.
Yeah, I'll be leaving his Instagram link in the description for you guys to go check out. And so you guys know, he takes commissions. Like I said, Jay is a professional artist. He does this for a living, and business has not been quite as booming as normal. So definitely go check out his stuff. Talk to him about potentially commissioning him. He does really good work. So yep, go check out his stuff. Jay, anything you want to close out on, or?
No, think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And as always, I will see you in my next video. Take care.